Hello everybody, welcome back to American Textbook Reading. We're going over Lesson 5 in the book. We're talking about body parts of animals. So this is an exciting lesson, right? If you like animals, and everybody likes animals, right? This will be a very interesting lesson because what in this lesson you will discover animals have different kinds of bodies and skins. We can see many different animals. They all have different abilities. They can all do different kinds of things. Different animals, of course, have different body parts and different types of skin to allow them to do amazing things. So, in this lesson, in the first part, we're going to be looking at the vocabulary to describe these different parts of the animal's bodies and skin, and also some other words that help us learn what they can do with those different types of bodies and skins. So let's begin. Our first word that we're going to be talking about, wow, look at this. This is a very proud animal, right? This, of course, is a chicken, right? A type of chicken. It's a male chicken, so we say it's a rooster, right? But on chickens, on birds, what is the skin? What do they have? Hair? No, they have these interesting looking things that we call feathers. Feathers. Sometimes you can pluck a feather out. A long time ago, they used feathers to write with, right? They took out a feather, put it in ink, and that was your pen, right? So that's a long time ago. Thankfully, we don't use those anymore, but because the birds need them, right? The birds need feathers, of course. So the birds have feathers. A feather is one of the many soft, thin parts that cover a bird's body, Birds don't have hair, right? We have hair, but birds have feathers, and that keeps them warm. It also makes them look different ways for different purposes. Of course, different birds might have very beautiful feathers, like a peacock, to attract, a male peacock wants to attract female peacocks, so wow, look at me. Sometimes birds will have feathers that expand if they're afraid or they're trying to warn other birds away, right? The feathers will make them look bigger. And of course, feathers keep birds warm and dry when it's wet. Okay, so these are feathers, a unique part of a bird. Also a unique part of a bird is a wing. The only animals that have wings, of course, are birds. And this is a nice picture of an owl, right? And of course, we can see his wing stretching out here and all the feathers on the wing. And of course, the feathers are very light and they spread out. And they also help the bird, in this case, the owl, to fly along. So, a wing is the part of a bird that helps it fly. Birds have two wings, right? If you think about it, birds don't have arms, right? They have wings instead. Their arms are actually wings, and they use them. Birds also have 2 feet, so birds have the right amount of limbs, but their arms are wings. Imagine if you had wings for arms, right? You could be able to fly. That would be neat. Anyway, this is what birds have. Birds have wings. These wings allow the bird to fly. Let's move on. We're also talking about birds again. A unique part about birds, birds have a beak. We don't have beaks, thank goodness, because that would be very difficult to kiss your mom, right? And when you go to bed at night. So that would be very, very tough. But anyway, a beak is, it's not a bone, it's like a shell, really. It's like a hard part of the bird. And what does it do? It's a hard and pointed part of a bird's mouth. Now, different birds will have different shapes and different sizes of beaks, right? A bird uses its beak to find food in the ground. Sure, some birds do that, right? This bird has a long beak, so it can stick its mouth into the ground to find an insect, maybe a worm, and pull it out. Some birds have long beaks so that they can drill a hole in a tree. A woodpecker, tuck, 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 right? He hits the tree. He's looking for insects. Maybe he can also find food inside of the tree. Now, the owl doesn't have a really long beak, but the owl has a sharp beak for being able to catch like mice or small animals on the ground. Okay, so different birds have different sizes and different shapes to their beaks, and they use them for many different things. Okay, so let's move on. Now we're getting away from birds. We're looking at a different type of animal. This is, of course, a mammal. More specifically, it's a sheep. And we're looking at specifically this part of the sheep. This is fur. Now, of course, fur on a sheep is very important for human beings. We use that fur, right? The sheep farmers will shave the sheep. Poor sheep, they'll look, they don't have any fur on afterwards. But we use that fur to make wool coats. So we may use it to make warm sweaters or use it in coats, in our clothing. Fur is the soft, thick hair that grows on the body of mammals. Fur keeps an animal warm, right? Fur doesn't grow on all animals or mammals, right? We are mammals. We don't have fur, right? We have hair. We have hair. We don't call that fur, right? We just call that hair. But many mammals have fur. When the hair covers their whole body, then we call that fur, okay? So this is fur for mammals. Okay, all animals, our next word is lung. All animals have lungs, right? Lungs are very important to an animal. If it doesn't have a lung, it can't breathe. We cannot see the lung, right? The lung is in the inside of the body. It's inside the body. We can't see it. But what is a lung? A lung is an organ. Organs are inside the body, usually in the torso, right? In the upper part of the body for mammals. We have many organs in our body. We can't see them, they're inside. A lung is an organ that helps some animals breathe. So if you do that, if you breathe in and out, you're using your lungs. And most animals, all animals have lungs, okay? So let's take a look at the next one, gill. Now, a gill is something that a fish will use to breathe underwater, right? We have lungs, right? We can breathe the air because we're not in water. But fish do not live outside of water. They live in water. How can they breathe in the water? Well, of course, the water has oxygen in it. So fish will be able to get that oxygen using their gills on the side of their heads. If you look at a fish, you can see the gills going like this, and they're breathing that way. A gill is one of the openings on the side of a fish's head, right over here. Gills help a fish breathe underwater. So you see the fish moving around in your aquarium, in your fish tank, or if you see them on television, or if you go diving, snorkeling in the water, you can see fish breathing underwater. Pretty amazing. Okay, let's move on to the next part. Skin. We all have skin, right? We have soft skin, right? An alligator has hard, thick, tough skin. Skin is the layer of tissue that covers the body. So it's actually the largest tissue on most animals. It's the largest tissue. Do you know that your skin is usually dead cells? It's cells of your body that are dead. Ugh, think about that. We're carrying around a lot of dead cells on our skin, but that's what skin is. Now, skin is different for many different types of animals. Like I said, an alligator or a crocodile will have tough, thick skin. Usually people have soft, smooth skin, right? So different skins for different types of animals, depending on, what they're doing. Alligators live out in the wild. They live in rivers. They live in places where they need a thick, tough skin. We don't need a thick, tough skin. If we need to, we can just wear clothing over our skin. Now, let's talk about some other words associated with different body types. Smooth, right? What does smooth mean? Smooth means flat. So if something is smooth, it's flat, without any rough areas. I just said human beings have soft, smooth skin, right? Alligators don't have smooth skin. It's rough. It's got a lot of bumps on it. It's not flat, and it's not easy or nice to touch. It's rough, okay? If you look at your dog, if you have a dog, you know, you can pet your dog. The dog's fur is very smooth. It's very nice and soft. It's pretty flat, and you can run your hand along it. You wouldn't want to run your hand along an alligator because it's very bumpy. It's not smooth. So smooth, flat, without any rough areas. Okay. Now, hair. Now, we have a picture of a dog here. Sure, a dog, we can call this fur. A dog has fur, but fur is made of hair, a lot of hair. Now, remember, humans don't have fur. Don't say, when you're talking about a person, don't say that that person has a lot of fur. If they have hair on their arms, that's just hair on their arms. Don't call it fur. Only animals have fur. So, this dog has a lot of hair. We can call it fur, but we can also call it hair. In fact, he has so much hair, we can't even see his eyes, right? He's very cute though, cute dog. Hair. Hair is thin, fine parts on the skin of a person or an animal. So yes, we have hair, dogs, animals have hair, but only animals have fur. People do not have fur, okay? Let's move on. Feed. So feed, what does that mean? Feed. Feed means to give food to a person